Affectionately dubbed her Deepness by the New York Magazine, Dr. Sylvia Earle, one of the world's top experts on ocean science and conservation. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. I hope you are too.
I'm about to find out. I got a question for you. Can you give us an update on the latest data on ocean pollution and ocean health? Are our oceans in trouble?
Oh, yes, and therefore so are we. We once thought that it didn't matter what we put into the ocean or what we took out of the ocean, but now we understand that the ocean is in trouble because of what we're putting in and what we're taking out, and therefore we're in trouble. But it's not too late to turn from the consequences of this. An ocean that is in serious decline, but we have a chance to turn to a time of recovery that affects everything from from climate to the fate of many of the rich diversity of species that occupy the ocean that are right on the edge of making it or not, depending on what we do or don't do.
In your estimation, is the true impact of changing temperatures and chemistry of the ocean caused by climate change?
Right. And the chemistry that is that the excess carbon dioxide that we've generated through burning fossil fuels that have been so beneficial to our economy, to our transportation, to giving us knowledge that we now have has a dark side beyond just warming, and that is in the ocean, excess carbon dioxide turns to carbonic acid. The ocean is becoming significantly more acidic. It's already being evidenced by what happens to baby oysters and clams and coral reefs and other creatures that have a calcium carbonate shell, including some of the organisms, tiny ones with a beautiful calcium carbonate shell that do much of the heavy lifting in terms of capturing carbon and generating oxygen and making Earth habitable for the likes of us.
Dr. Earl, why do you think man is so disregarding the ocean and so disrespectful of nature itself?
Well, here's the thing: if you don't know, you can't care. And until right about now, I think of this as the sweet spot in in our history, that never before could we know what we now know. Never again will we have the chance as good as what we now have to change the trajectory that I've witnessed in my lifetime, and everybody who's alive in the 21st century. We've seen a piece of the planetary decline. And yet, knowing what we now know that we could not know when I was a kid gives us the power to shift this, to bend the curve into recovery. We do have the best chance we will ever have. It's going to get harder and harder the longer we wait to take the action that we know has to be taken. Everything from, you know, shifting from burning fossil fuels and wood and coal, whatever it is that puts excess carbon dioxide and soot and other materials into the atmosphere, poisoning the atmosphere, and ultimately having an impact on the ocean as well. That's one category. Coming up with alternative methods of powering our civilization. And we know we have those methods. That's the great good news. We're not without choices. We have plenty of choices and knowledge about what to do. We just need the will to say, okay, we put so much stuff in the ocean, let's get them out of, take it out as much as we can, but let's stop putting more into the ocean. And as far as taking wildlife out of the ocean, we need to change our habits. We're taking wildlife, wild animals out of the ocean on an industrial scale. That's never happened in our history before. We could not get to the high seas. That's the area beyond national jurisdiction, out to half the world that is the global commons beyond any country's reach in terms of their jurisdiction. And we have a chance to say, no, we're going to stop the killing, especially in the high seas, and leave the carbon, leave these enormously diverse and wonderful creatures in the ocean. We stopped killing whales, more or less, in 1986, and now there are more whales than there were when I was a child. Turtles have won our hearts and our respect. There are more sea turtles now. They're not totally safeguarded yet, but there are more of them now. There's a better chance now because we've basically stopped killing them. We protect their nests. And we love turtles. We love whales. We need to learn to love sharks and tunas and swordfish and halibut and shrimp and all the other creatures, squid and octopus, for reasons other than, they taste so good. Well, they're actually better for us if we allow them to live. Of course, some people always take wildlife out of the ocean for the fun of taking them out, sport fishing or whatever, or because they really are reliant on wildlife from the sea for sustenance. But that's not most of us. Most of us have choices. Most of us, going back generations, have not tasted tuna until, our time recently, because we could get out into the ocean to capture them and market them all over the world. But, there are only about 3% of the bluefin tuna left in the Pacific, according to the most recent assessment. Imagine if any other creature that we knew had only 3% of what was there in the 1970s. It's not that long to take a big bite out of important creatures in the sea. If we could just bring ourselves to pause, just, let the wild animals do their thing in the ocean, capturing carbon, holding carbon, providing the nutrient cycles in the ocean that make the ocean thrive, make us thrive. We could go a long way toward changing this trajectory of decline to recovery.
Dr. Sylvia Earle, thank you so much for joining us on Morning Blend. I hope we get this message out to everyone. Thank you again.
Thank you.